and let me welcome you to the sixth debate of today's. It's Tech-Life Balance, Nurturing Diversity and Well-Being in a Digital Age. I'm Barbara Lubko from Burda Media Polska, and let me welcome my great guests and introduce them to you. Mrs. Katarzyna Surówka, CEO of Surówka.com. Hello. Can you tell us something about yourself?
Sorry, I missed my microphone. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. Besides of being a consultant for the business, I'm also preparing research among the lot of research about the jobs, and I would like to also present today those research and to show you how in tech we can use it.
I know you have some data there. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you very much.
Our another guest is Jurgita Jaruseviciene, if I pronounced it correctly. I'm sorry if not. Head of EdTech Lithuania. Let me welcome you here. You're online, but we're very happy to have you here.
Hello to everyone. You seem to be in a very beautiful studio, so I'm a bit jealous not to be with you. But thank you for the invitation. And as you mentioned, I'm the head of the EdTech Lithuania Association, and I also own a startup. So I can, I'll try to share a bit of my experience, how I came to tech.
Thank you. Thank you. We're looking forward to that. And the last guest we have, but not the least, exactly. It's a PhD, Iwo Zmyślony, who's business consultant and a trainer at ICANN Institute.
Yes. Hello, hello.
And hello.
You want to hear something else about
myself?
Yes,
something more.
Something more. Yeah, well, I do so many things that I have a real struggle to call what that is. But recently I call myself, which is quite precise, a culture designer. So I research organizations and business cultures, and then I help to transform these cultures for last something like 5 or 6 years. And for about a decade, I work with business following the, let's say, the paradigm of co-creation and design thinking that is settled within about 10 years ago. Yeah, so.
Okay, so thank you. You've told us something about culture and this culture in the business environment. At the beginning of our conversation, I'd like to talk about, in general, gender equality, diversity, and inclusion. But, of course, it's an ethical imperative in every business company nowadays. But that's not really what I want to talk about. I want to talk about something else. I want to know if gender equality can lead to, more comprehensive, well-rounded solutions in tech world. Can companies, by actively promoting gender equality and embracing all of the diverse voices we now hear inside the companies and in the world, can companies not only enhance their workplace, because that's one thing, and the culture of workplace is one thing, but also can they gain a competitive edge? And can they really change that into business success? So first question would be to you, Iwo. How do you think diversity impacts innovation within the technology industry?
We know it impacts in a huge scale, and there's tons of research about this. And, you see some correlations between diversity within teams, the level, the scale of that diversity within organizations, and business results, business results measured in terms of income. So we know, for example, from research that is being published from time to time by the Josh Bersin company that I really value, that those organizations that have really invested systemically in programs of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, those companies tend to have 4 times more agility results. So they are 4 times more agile. They tend to be 4 times more agile. and at least it was agile and innovative than the others that didn't implement these programs. Also, they tend to have twice that time, I mean, twice as often, as frequently, better financial outcomes as expected. And this is only one source, because if you want to Google, the whole data we know about it, and a ton of other results will pop out. And I just wanted to point you in the direction of Amy Edmondson, who started this, let's say, paradigm. We call it now by different names, and diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging is just one of the names of this paradigm. But she calls this this experience of internally diverse teams and companies by term of psychological safety. And the funny thing is that she started to develop this concept of psychological safety almost by accident, because she was in 90s back then. She was trying to identify what factors correlate with high efficiency, with business efficiency, with performance. And only after a few years of research, she realized that the main factor is psychological safety, including within the safety, the experience of diversity, and also gender diversity, which is not the only diversity I'd like to talk about today.
You can, if you want, I
mean, cognitive diversity, which is a bit deeper, but we can come back to this later.
Yeah,
right?
no problem. Jurgita, you're a leader, and that's one part of the things you do, and the other part is you work with governments. So how do you actively promote gender equality, and how you promote inclusion in your organization? But what you do, what are your key points that you address the government with?
Well, as it was mentioned already before, all the diversity that we have always helps to come up with the best solutions. And I like thinking that everything we do is, it deals with sales, right? We want to sell at the end of the day, whether it's an idea, a product, a tool, anything that we do, at the end of the day should become something that is admired, loved, and liked, and, the thing that everybody wants. So whenever we talk to the government, we don't have a huge issue here when it comes to providing or pushing women to become leaders or taking the active roles and becoming someone that you look after. So it's not difficult, I would say, here. For the last probably 5 years, we had lots of role models. I mean, women. We were working on showing their success stories, talking about their achievements. And whenever it comes to, you want to open the door when it comes to policymakers, anywhere you go in the parliament. So there's never an issue. And probably everyone is kind of embracing the idea that women can bring something additional, not the women. But
it's not only about women, and women is, of course, one and super important part, as we're here on this Women in IT Day, but it's even more the diversity, equality. It's a big topic, and I think there are some kind of sectors of this topic which are not fully taken care of everywhere in Europe, I guess, and maybe especially in tech industry. What do you think about that?
The question goes still to me, right?
Yeah. Because I was just referring to what you just said, because you emphasize on women issue, and I think there's a lot more in this case. Yeah,
I know. I come from the educational background, and I worked at school as a teacher for many years. And, probably at schools, we should start talking and implementing inclusive education. I don't know what's the situation in Poland, But this is a very hectic year. It has been so far because it's the first time where we started really doing that. And it's all on all the levels. So whether it's a school, university, higher educations, or the companies. So we need to, probably first of all, changing our mindsets. This is a challenge. We're not ready for that, but probably will never be. So just trying to deal with that and work with it.
Yeah, thank you. So we talked about how important is diversity, even for companies' success. That's what we talked with Ivo. With Jurgita, how we should work on it. And Kasia, I would like to ask you, what do you believe are the main barriers to achieve that gender equality in the tech sector, especially?
In our report, we have findings that the main barriers to the gender equality in the tech are both structural and cultural. Women are only 42% of workforce around the globe, and even lower representation in the tech industry, which is approximately 22%. And the persistent glass ceiling and the male-dominated leadership are also models which are continuing creating the barriers for women. And I believe that what we can address or recommend to the organizations, what they should do, are also the clear path of career for women and the very transparent pay policies. Also, which I really love myself mostly, is to create the formal mentorship programs for women, which actually right now I'm involved in free of those kind of mentor programs, and I can see that it works very highly.
I just want to interrupt you for a second.
Yeah.
That's what I've read about, that there's a main obstacle for women is they don't have women mentors in tech industry. Exactly. So you can only learn from men. And that's a problem because they just feel a bit overwhelmed, or they don't want to, try something new, like.
Yeah, and actually it's true. In one of the mentoring programs which I'm helping with, is that mostly the men are the mentors. Obviously, we have prepared them to those roles, but we are very curious how it will go. Especially that the women, they really need to work with the women, and that's why I'm also preparing the new program for the next year, based on the European regulations on women on boards, where we will be helping the women to be included into the board members, and and in that program we are only recruiting the mentors, the women mentors.
According to the World Bank's Gender Employment Gap Index, women hold, watch out for this, less than 20% of tech leadership roles in total, and only 15% of CEOs are women. That is frightening, because I think there's almost no other business in which the numbers are so low. So I think that women role in IT is a global challenge now, and women in IT face a bit unique challenge than in other businesses, because they have to overcome stereotypes. They have to break the glass ceiling, because the numbers say the facts, and we know that there is a glass ceiling for women.
Yeah, and I would like to add one more, that they need to believe that they can do it.
And they can believe if other women tell them they did it and they believe, then they can believe.
Role model.
Yes, exactly. So I think we just found this first problem, that we have to have women role models, and thanks to conferences like this one, I think it helps, and it shows the path for many women. But Jurgita, I'd like to ask you, what strategies have you found most effective for breaking down those stereotypes, encouraging women to enter and stay in tech roles? And mentoring, women mentoring is one thing, of course, but there must be others.
I'll just take a second, and I think what we do when we organize the days like that, like this we are having now, and we talk and we organize mentorships for women, it's like giving a pill for already existing illnesses. So we should start talking about it, like encouraging young girls, probably at the age of something around 12, 14. This is where they drop their interest in STEAM. And all the IT and technical part. So that's just the research. And then going back from there, if we talk about the current situation, what we do is what really helped us in the organization, in my company, and is the talking to, like, everything should be very transparent, okay? Whenever you organize meetings, everyone, probably not depending on whether you are like a male or female, you take part in the meetings, and everyone's voice needs to be heard. That's one thing. Another thing is we always, when we hire someone, we suggest that they will have flexible working hours. That's very, very important for women, especially if they are single mothers who have their kids going, for example, to kindergartens. So already mentioned things as like payment, very clear, mentorship programs. That's very important. But, and we also organize those, I usually try to say that everything we do should be fun, okay? So even when we talk to women, we say, like, nobody is stopping you, okay? You are the best, you are the coolest, so there's no ceiling. We kind of know there is one, but I believe that everything starts with our mindset. So nobody is like pushing a boundary or putting a boundary on something, like on purpose. Probably, I would say half of the reasons why we are not somewhere in any position is because we stop ourselves.
Can I address
yes,
it?
of course.
Because I'm, being this cultural researcher and I follow the current literature about mindsets, among the others. We know from this research that our mindsets are being product of our culture. I mean, our relationships within work and standards within work culture. So you are partially right that I believe young and female in all ages need to just start to acknowledge the fact that they can do it. But on the other hand, as we know, IT companies, they are dominated with, let's say, so it's kind of
delicate saying, okay, male energy.
Bro culture, right? And this bro culture can alienate women, or even exclude femininity out. I mean, even if I try to think and give another name. Maybe not even bro culture, but left hemisphere, left brain culture.
Okay.
And let's make this on this level of metaphor. So nowadays, if you want to have really agile and resilient companies, really agile and resilient teams, we need to automatize everything that is left brain oriented, and this is something that is being done right now. And these tasks and processes that are so mundane, repetitive, and require hard skills are being automated as we speak. And on the other hand, business must understand that in order to survive and thrive within this turbulent reality, they need to invest in, let's say, right side.
The emotional,
and connection, yes. and psychological safety, yes. that we mentioned before. So this is the other half of the equation for me. So it's not enough to change the mindset of women, and not only the policy, but also the standards and motivations and behaviors of people who are already working within the industry. And you ask yourself, who has created those companies, who has created these cultures, because culture is always present and always a kind of heritage that is. So
it runs in the family in a way.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, this is the challenge for people like, let's say, us who are working with companies, because they need to understand, if they want to survive, I mean, and be really agile and be really resilient and be really innovative, they need to invest in this, metaphorically speaking, right side of their brains. Let's say, metaphorically still, feminine side of our brains. So, but it's a tough process of transformation within already existing personnel of companies.
And that's exactly, it leads me to the question I wanted to ask you, Kasia, because we know that the companies are traditionally male-dominated. That's what we talked about. True. And they have to find a way, because they can change their heritage, right? They are what they are. So how they empower women? In this situation we're not talking about, like the dreams and the things we want to see in the future, but what they're doing now with the heritage they have and this male-oriented mindset, I guess.
Not repeating what Iwo and Jurgita said, I would add that I would start from the recruiting practices. Actually, if I can share my own experience, when I was 21 years old, I finished. I graduated actually some kind of studies of computer graphics, and I took part in recruitment process. Where there was only me as a woman, and the rest of the participants, they were men, and I was the most precise in doing the graphics, and I was the quickest. But they said they cannot hire me because I'm very young, and probably I will have a kids. And it was
that's typical. Not only for tech industry, for everyone.
Yeah,
don't take it personally.
Yes,
exactly.
Of course.
Don't take it personally. We cannot hire you. It was late. I mean, not late. Early 90s. So they were also afraid that if the women, the pregnant women, are working in front of the computer, it's caused the damage of the health of the children, the child. So they said, we will not can use your work during your pregnancy. And so my competences wasn't high enough. Yeah. And so this is the first part. I would extremely highly agree with what Iwo said, that this psychological safety, which actually in our research are even number one of the trends for the next years. I would add the human leadership, where we have the clarity, transparency, empathy, authentically, adaptability, which actually is this right side, which you said, Iwo, of our brain, and using obviously the metaphor, yeah. And also I would take care of the structure, which actually I don't like the rules personally, but I like this European regulation where we actually transforming the culture and the structure of right now the boards, but maybe later the management board, and maybe later the leadership structure, where there must be at least 30% of women.
Yeah, I always have a problem with that, because it's kind of like your brain is not the most important thing, but this correctness and everything is the most important thing. But anyway, I struggle with that thought, because that's the only way, I guess, to make a change after time.
But there is also a risk. So a red flag comes with the fact that it can be used as an alibi for many corporations. Organizations, that we have this 30%, so leave us, and
that's it, and we don't do nothing else.
And there is no real I call it, it's not my term, but let's call it cognitive diversity. I mean, so gender aspect is one aspect that is significantly underrepresented, but there are also other minorities which are excluded or isolated within organizations. Yes, you have sex orientations, you have ethnicities.
Yes, and it's a very important.
And now ages. I mean, people from different generations, and let's say silvers.
Yeah.
And this is also a huge topic that comes with this demographic crisis we are having, we are facing in this part of world, that we need to prepare our companies for people to work with people from different cultures, different religions, different orientations, different ethnicities, and different generations. So for me, the topic we are talking about today is just a case example and a challenge for companies to learn how to cope with real diversity, starting with, let's say, women presence and inclusivity from women in our organizations.
And sorry. It's just one more question, follow-up question for you, Ivo, because I guess every sector of business has its own issues and own problems with diversity, and I guess women problem, like less women in tech industry than in others, is the main problem here in tech industry, because ethnicity isn't such a problem in tech. Mm-hmm. And it's a big problem in other parts, in other sectors, right?
Yeah, I would like to refer to what Ivo said right now, and also what Jurgita is taking care of about the education, because if we would like to change a little bit, at least the culture, we should come back to the early ages and to support the girls as they are very young age, that they can use the technology. They are on the same level as the boys, so we should actually educate the society rather than, obviously I think we can do it both ways, right now supporting the companies right now and the business, and also to support the education system.
Yeah, thank you. Jurgita, one more time back to you. Do you think that this change when women just nobody thinks about is it a woman or is it a woman or is it a man? Is this change going to come while we're alive or maybe later on?
One thing probably two things should be taken in consideration. So one thing, we live in two different countries, and I believe there is a slight difference that we're having. Another thing is, I've never been in the position where I wanted to be hired. I was in the position where I was hiring people. And, whenever we put an advertisement that we're looking for a developer or like any tech position, there's never any kind of consideration whether it's a woman or a man. You would probably tell me now that it's because I'm a woman, but I wouldn't say it's true. I would say we just receive more applications from men. That's why I was trying to, emphasize the idea that maybe we have only 20% of women working somewhere, and maybe it's a culture of the companies. Again, I agree with that. But at the end of the day, if I'm a CEO and I want to hire a really good person, like not a good person, but a good employer, I would only consider, and I know there are lots of companies who are considering only the abilities of the person. The point is that there are no women who want to work for those positions. So that's why, education is probably the key thing. And yes, answering your question, I believe this will happen definitely. The only thing is, educating from early ages, breaking those stereotypes. Nothing is for anyone. Like everyone has the same right, possibility, capabilities. Everything's fine. And again, if we talk about women, probably there's a lot of success in the factor of their own families, their own husbands that they're having. And I believe some expectations also come from the family part. So educating everyone.
you're saying about education and family and how private life impacts our professional life, and that's the moment when I want to switch to a topic which is, I guess, a burning issue, not only here today, not only in tech industry, I guess in every business all over the world. And these are 3 words, and these 3 words, they just blow our minds. It's work-life balance. So in such a high demand environment as tech world, I guess this work-life balance is a special thing to talk about, and it's super important. I guess what I want to talk about, because every one of us wants to have that work-life balance and wants to have that perfect middle of both. But what does it mean for the companies? What does it mean for tech companies? And I'd like to focus on how work-life balance of employees can really impact companies, and is well-being crucial foundation for long-term business success? Can the companies perform? Can they just have great performance with employees who care so much about work-life balance? So, Kasiu, from a leadership perspective, how do you think companies should achieve goals, like business goals, and promote a healthy work-life balance for their employees, and how they can prevent employees from burnout, but also get the companies to thrive, to fulfill their needs?
I would like to refer the researchers we made also on this topic, and we can find out that the hybrid model of work is actually the best one, because what we need is actually to meet the people, maybe not to hug them and touch them all the time, because it's forbidden at work, but or not highly recommended, I would say.
But we can always drink coffee,
yes,
right?
Absolutely. And we can a little bit touch ourselves. But we really need to be with the people. We need to feel the energy. And what is important, that we can even not to do the work those days, but we need to be together and integrate ourselves.
Isn't it especially hard in tech industry? Because in tech industry, you really can literally work from all over the world. And you don't have to meet at all.
Yes, exactly. And so at least we should meet and turn on the cameras to see each other, even if we didn't brush the teeth or comb the hair. But it is good to see and to talk about the small talk about our private even lives or issues, but to be together and integrate together, because we are actually in one step before another pandemic, which is the loneliness. Mm-hmm. And we should consider this one, especially in the tech industry. We like to be at home. We like to feel comfortable. We like to wear the clothes which give us the comfort. But and still, if we are working only from home and we are not traveling that times and we are not pushing ourselves to meet other people, even not our colleagues from work, it's giving us the fear of social issues, and this is the first step to not even the burnout, but the depression. So what we can do, turning back to your question, what we can do as leaders and what we can do as organizations, a little bit to push up the meetings, even if they are online, but with the cameras, etc. Also, we can support our employees to give them the quicker and better access, for example, to psychological help. But what I would like to emphasize is that we really are responsible for our own health and also psychological health. And what we have to do to find out our own way, how we can balance, not even between the work and life, but what is giving us the well-being, what is helping us to feel better. And I prefer to use work-life fit, because sometimes if I love what I'm doing, I really would like to work.
Yeah, and when it's your hobby, then it's the best solution.
Exactly, and it's giving me the happiness, it's giving me a well-being, and even after 10 hours, which actually I should not work 10 hours, but after 10 hours of doing what I love, I feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
So I would rather to use the work-life fit and to fit what is best to me.
That's very nice, Ivo. Yes.
Yeah, for me, I have the problem. I struggle with this concept of work-life balance since forever. Since forever I work. Even when it was my studies, I just was so much embedded in my processes, in my projects, that I barely slept. And this is because of I am really so passionate about what the things I am doing, and I have this privilege to work over projects that I really engage myself with. But what I'm saying this because for me the concept you proposed, I call it work-life integrity. And why is it important? Because I have learned working with different companies that I cannot project this experience and these motivations into other people around me. So I cannot presume that people who are working with me on projects I love are so motivated and so deeply engaged within those projects as I am.
And the thing is, they can work 9 to 5 and do the best job
and my
ever,
job as
right?
my job being manager, and this is why I'm talking this story, because my job being a manager, let's say, I mean manager of any project or of any company, it's to settle which people do I need to have for which processes. And this is, for me, it's for recent months, it's like, real enlightening. If you understand your business model, if you understand your business strategy, then you have to understand that there are some tasks and processes that can be fulfilled and well performed without engagement, without intrinsic motivation, and just within, a scope of regular work that being done from 9 to let's say 4 p.m. and also remotely even. Okay. Another story is whether these kind of tasks and processes can be automated or will be automated in the foreseeable
with AI
future.
And yes.
Exactly, but this is another story. I mean, for us for today, I know that there are some processes and tasks that can be performed within this very limited scope of motivation by people who are not motivated intrinsically by just doing their job, and that's fine. But on the other hand, I need to be very aware that if I want to evolve, if I want to innovate, then I need to know which processes and which tasks require these
creativity,
exactly, and motivation. And then we know also that these type of tasks and processes are far more effective being done face to face, and which is in fact one of the basics of Agile. And if you read Agile Manifesto, I really recommend to read Agile Manifesto. This is explicitly written down, the Agile Manifesto. Build your teams around intrinsically motivated people. This is point 5, I believe. And then point 6, the most effective form of communication is face-to-face communication. And I really recommend for everyone doing very simple tasks, very simple exercise for every manager and team and organization for that scale. That you can participate, co-create yourself within your team, with your people, which tasks and processes they know they can perform better doing that remotely, even with this camera switched off, because there are some tasks and processes that can be done that way. And which of their tasks and processes require personal interaction, and which are worth coming to office. And believe me, I've done it with many companies, and it works, really well, because people realizing, okay, this meeting, 500 people, one guy is talking, we don't need to have all our cameras on, because it's just broadcasting, and can be done, without our interactions. But this process, we need to meet on site and spend couple more hours interacting, because only then,
and not even through camera, but in real life, because it's easier to
exactly. This is my proposal. I don't know, because we have excluded Jurgita because you are not present here.
No.
Is one of the
I have a question for you. It's not that easy.
But this is one of the situations. If you were here,
that would be easier, because you could interrupt without this time gap we have on the broadcast and everything. So I'd like to ask you, Jurgita, how your organization support this mental health that leads to, I think, better performance of employees, in fact.
Okay, so thank you. Well, I'm back on the stage. No, it was nice to listen to you. Everything's fine. So, I will refer a bit to the previous question that you had. So the point was 5 years ago, we had the boom here in Lithuania. Everyone was talking about life-work balance, mental health. So I would say, especially in tech companies. Because it's kind of a bit difficult if you are talking about a factory, something. But if it's a company, like a tech company, so all the offices had sleeping rooms, Pilates rooms, walking a dog, bringing pets. You do whatever you want, just be happy. And probably a month ago, we had one of the unicorn companies, the CEO of a company, wrote a letter to his employees, like a couple of thousand people working there, saying guys, stop Pilates at work, okay? We're not doing that anymore. So you just go back to work, which is your responsibility. So we had lots of discussions. It was all over the newspapers, articles, journalists talking about it. And what I see is probably what we need to find is finding the balance, okay? Balance is really important. If we play too much or, we talk too much about that we need to make you happy, it is happy, but it shouldn't be the happy in terms of you do what you want to do. We become happy as a team when we achieve the results, the goals. And not to make it too, pushy or harsh, in our organization, we have a very easy form of texting someone even in the morning. If there's nothing burning, you can say I'm not up for working, I have my issues, and which is fine. Okay. We still think that the person is present. So if anything happens, so we can text him or her. So it is fine. You just listen to each other. And what I always tell to any worker that comes to my company, say, there's enough stress when it comes to the results of the business, okay? The idea is none of you, neither I, nobody else in the company, we cause additional stress. It's not about causing stress. The only stress comes from the numbers. So they know it, and there's a very transparent policy of talking, okay? Not talking behind somebody's back, but just talking. We talk about things, and I believe that helps us a lot.
Thank you. I think the balance is the word, but balance regarded a bit differently than life-work balance as it occurred, is the most important thing in life, in work life, in tech life, and for women in tech life also. Thank you very much for participating in this debate. Thank you, Jurgita. I'll start from you, this goodbye part, because you're a bit excluded, but we are very happy we had you here. Kasiu, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And Ivo, thank you.
Thank you for the
And I think it's time for us to go for a coffee. Thank you very much.